There's just something about the WWE Intercontinental Championship in the eyes of longtime fans. While the company hasn't done right by the person holding the established secondary championship, the fact is that the mystique of the belt is easy to restore. Put it on somebody, push them hard as a fighting and/or wily champion, and voila! You've designated somebody as a worthwhile player. It also helps that the IC title has been defended in numerous classic battles, so even in leaner times, the belt has history on its side. Recently at Cultaholic, we ranked all 84 individuals to have held the Intercontinental Championship over the past 4 decades. Consider this a supplementary piece to that magnum opus, as we're going to examine the 10 longest reigns in the 40-year history of the workhorse belt, those that elevated the championship into something for prospective wrestlers to aspire towards. There are no truly titanic reigns on the level of Bruno Sammartino, Bob Backlund, and Hulk Hogan's mammoth WWE title runs here, but no matter, the Intercontinental Gold has spawned impressive reigns all their own. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic.com, and these are the 10 longest reigning WWE Intercontinental Champions. Join us. Number 10, Pat Patterson, 233 days. The first entry is, go figure, the first champion. Patterson's colourful and rich legacy in pro wrestling could bear many APRO-Pro subheadings, but for many, the fact that he's the first ever Intercontinental Champion is what he's most known for. It doesn't matter that the stated means in which he acquired said belt are entirely fabricated. In fact, the fact that Patterson's introduction of the gold comes with a wink and a nod is kind of part of its charm. On September 1st, 1979, it was said that WWF North American Champion Patterson defeated Johnny Rhodes in a tournament final in Rio de Janeiro to win the South American heavyweight title. Both the tournament and the belt were fictitious, but as legend goes, Patterson unified the two belts to create the IC title, which is just fine by us. Patterson held off all challengers until April of 1980, when he lost the title to renowned strongman Ken Patera. In fact, Patera's reign ranks 11th of all time at 231 days, so he just misses the cut of this video. Here's a shout anyway though, Kenny. Number 9, Cody Rhodes, 236 days. If we've learned nothing else about Cody over the past decade, we've learned how much he values tradition. While he's demonstrated lots of forward thinking as an administrator for AEW, the son of the American dream loves where wrestling has been just as much as where it's going. He made that very clear in the midst of his near 8-month reign as IC champion close to 9 years ago, when he introduced the classic belt design on a white strap. Rhodes himself personally paid for the reinstitution, though his reign, in fairness, did get a little bit lost in the shuffle. Wins over Ted DiBiase and John Morrison were the highlights of his time holding the belt, before he settled upon a WrestleMania feud with The Big Show, in which he was KO'd by the Super Heavyweight. Obviously, Rhodes had more hurrahs waiting for him, including restoring a bit of worth in the classic NWA World title at the Transcendent All-In event, and of course making wrestling on TNT mean something again. That is some mighty fine redeeming. Number 8, Shelton Benjamin, 244 days. When the world's greatest tag team was split up during the 2004 draft, it seemed like a senseless halving of a tremendous duo. Shelton Benjamin was definitely capable of a promising singles run, but could he really survive without Charlie? Well, those fears were quelled once Benjamin came over to Raw and immediately defeated Triple H in a lengthy match. 7 months later, he was Intercontinental Champion, a literal People's Champion at that. Benjamin captured the gold from Chris Jericho at the inaugural Taboo Tuesday pay-per-view in October 2004, receiving more votes than a dozen plus other wrestlers to earn the shot. Granted, there weren't many appetizing options aside from Christian and Batista, but Benjamin was still the clear choice of fans who appreciated his awing grace and once-in-a-generation athleticism. The reign had its highs, the matches with Christian and Jericho at Survivor Series and Backlash respectively, and lows, whatever that alleged match with Maven was. Once the reign was over, Benjamin never really had a run in WWE this good again, as 2004 was definitely his best year. Number 7, The Rock, 265 days. Dwayne Johnson is one of only 2 men in this video that parlayed a glorious run as IC champion into later WWE Championship glory. The reign itself, Rock's second, began somewhat inauspiciously when a stubborn Steve Austin refused to wrestle Rock on Vince McMahon's orders and thus forfeited the title out of spite. At the time, Rock was still finding his footing as second in command in the Nation of Domination, but firm ground wasn't far off. The year 1998 firmly left any semblance of Rocky Maivia in the dust, as The Rock aggressively took control of the nation, invented new catchphrases that made him impossible to boo, and generally became the freshest act in WWE not named Stone Cold. In fact, by the time Rock dropped the belt to Triple H in a seminal ladder match at SummerSlam, Rock was rapidly gaining on Austin in terms of being a genuine star. The IC title reign was marked by typical instances of a heel retaining via technicalities and other shenanigans, but when you're as cool as The Rock, it doesn't matter how you keep the gold. Number 6, Mr. Perfect, 280 days. When fans of the WWF's golden age think of the great Intercontinental Champions, Curt Hennig almost immediately comes to mind. If you've never seen Mr. Perfect in action, do yourself a favor and check out his haul of matches from 3 decades ago. You'll find a cocky villain with the smirk to match, flawless scientific skill, and vigorous bumps and falls that would make Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin go, dude, you're insane. Perfect's second reign with the gold began in the fall of 1990, when he defeated Kerry Von Erich at a Superstars taping. After successfully retaining it in the months ahead against the likes of Roddy Piper, the Big Boss Man, and Davey Boy Smith, Perfect met his match at the 1991 SummerSlam when Bret the Hitman Hart achieved a milestone victory over a wrestler that was his equal in so many ways. In truth, Perfect was largely inactive for the last couple of months of his reign due to career-threatening back injuries, but nonetheless, he added much value and prestige to the gold during his time holding it. Number 5, Greg Valentine, 285 days. As fun as it is to imagine Mr. Perfect duking it out with the bump-tastic technical marvels of this modern day, it's intriguing to picture the Hammer in his prime in 2020. Though not flashy by any means, Valentine was a hard-hitting technician with an obvious mean streak and a rather colourful manner of registering pain when the babyface went into his comeback. A territorial icon, Valentine was among the best wrestlers in Rock and Wrestling era WWF and fit the bill of IC champ to a T. Valentine's reign began in September 1984 when he took advantage of injured champion Tito Santana to win the belt. For 9.5 months following, Valentine managed to retain the belt against numerous challengers, including Junkyard Dog at the first WrestleMania and a vengeful Santana. Finally, Santana did the hammer in, defeating him in a scintillating steel cage match in July 1985, famously kicking the cage door in Valentine's face while making his escape. Greg Valentine's lengthy reign puts him among some great company in wrestling history and might just be the hallmark of his tremendous career. Number 4, Don Muraco, 385 days. And now we reach the select few who've lapped an entire calendar, surpassing 365 or 366 days. Muraco was one of 2 men to achieve this feat in the pre-WrestleMania era, capturing the belt on January 22nd, 1983, inside Madison Square Garden from Pedro Morales, handing Morales his first pinfall loss inside the Garden in 18 years. It was his second reign with the championship, having previously reigned for 5 months with the title in 1981. During his reign, Muraco battled the likes of Rocky Johnson and Superfly Jimmy Snuka. It was against Snuka that one of the most famous moments involving the Magnificent One took place, though in it, he played the victim. Muraco managed to successfully defend his belt against Snuka inside a steel cage in October 1983, but afterwards, Snuka flattened the champ with a cage-high Superfly splash, one of the more iconic sights of the period. But Muraco was more than just the patsy for Snuka's big move. He was a classic bad guy with an entertaining, laid-back promo style, and nobody made a show of crushing jobbers the way that he did. Number 3, Macho Man Randy Savage, 414 days. Savage, along with the next person in this video, is one of only 2 men to have held WWE's World and Intercontinental belts for more than 1 year each. Like The Rock, Savage used the IC title as a springboard to the big prize in WWE, winning the World title 1 year after losing the belt to Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in an all-timer at WrestleMania 3. Appropriately, in Savage's promo before losing the belt, he rasped, "History beckons the Macho Man," though even he may have been understating it. After ending Santana's reign with the use of a foreign object in February 1986, Savage took absolute beatings from a number of brutish challengers, including Santana himself, George the Animal Steel, and even Bruno Sammartino, who even in a semi-active role at age 51 could hold his own in exciting bouts. Savage, the classic heel champion, narrowly survived beating after beating, escaping with the gold by any means necessary until that day in Pontiac when Steamboat couldn't be denied. Many believe that Savage is the greatest IC champion ever, and the reign speaks for itself. Number 2, Pedro Morales, 425 days. You might have guessed Savage as being one of the two men to surpass a full year with both the World and IC titles, but perhaps Pedro didn't come to mind. Morales managed to go the opposite route of Rock and Savage, winning the top two belts in reverse, capturing his first Intercontinental title nearly a decade after defeating Ivan Koloff for the WWE title. His first reign, which began in December 1980, made Morales the first ever Triple Crown winner in WWE history. Morales' first run with the belt lasted a little more than 6 months, but his second run, beginning in November of 1981, is what put him in this video. Morales didn't drop the belt until January 1983, the aforementioned MURACO switch, making 1982 the only year in the IC title's history that the belt did not change hands once. During his reign, Morales defended against the likes of Greg Valentine, Buddy Rose, and Bob Orton. His legendary 3-year world title run may be his career's headline, but his time as IC champ, both reigns actually, deserve mention. Number 1, the Honky Tonk Man, 454 days. We'll see Jack the Jobber win the WWE Championship before we see somebody come within spitting distance of Honky's 15 months spent staying ahead of the chase, slipping away from all viable contenders. Macho Man Randy Savage, Jake Roberts, Ricky Steamboat, Brutus Beefcake, they all came within an eyelash of felling the egotistical Elvis impersonator, but to no avail. Somehow, someway, he managed to get away with the belt in tow, living to defend it another day. While Honky often gets criticized for his in-ring work, criticism that's rather off base actually, people overlook the fact that he was a massive draw as champion. Whenever the live events he was on came to town, fans thought tonight is the night, and flocked to arenas to be there when he, apparently, finally lost the belt to a more deserving champion. Those days came and went until finally the Ultimate Warrior bum-rushed him at the 1988 SummerSlam and beat him into dust, ending the eternal reign. A champion that people pay to see, plus utter longevity, affirms Honky's confident boasts that he is the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, by metrics that matter.